Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of joydrive. Today is a very special one. We have a first on the channel, and you're all probably thinking, why on earth does he have a Kona? Obviously, as you can tell by the title, this is fully electric. It's not a hybrid, you plug it in to charge. Now, what if I also told you that this is 150 kilowatts and 395 Newton meters of torque on tap from 0 RPM. RPM isn't a thing here anymore, it's just 100% power, 0% power, and whatever your throttle response is. So let's start off with the absolute basics of where everyone is going to start with this car. This thing is a $64,000 car, which puts it about 10 grand above most of the other competitors. The Leaf, the Zoe are about 50 grand. The Ionic is 50 as well. However, this Kona can do 450 Ks to a charge. Now you're probably wondering, why is that significant? Well, I'm filming this video in Bunbury because I want to prove a point that range anxiety is not a thing, and these can be used to do things which normal conventional cars can do. Now, I don't want to call it other cars normal because this is going to become the norm, and this is actually incredibly fun. But how did we get here? Let's recap to this morning, and then we'll chat a bit more about this oddity. So you've just arrived at your designated parking spot. What do? So you come to one of these. Now, you don't need the card to initiate the charge, and it does cost. So what you do is you download an app called the Next Charge app. Let me show you what that looks like. It looks like that. So that tells you where all of the charging locations are near you. So obviously I am standing next to the Bunbury one. So then you get that, and you've got all the different connectors that it allows. So what you would do is, here you can see how much each connector is going to cost you to charge per kilowatt hour. And there's also a flag for as well, which here is 37 cents. Plug your connector in, which in my case is this one. So you plug that in, and away you go. Now that is and then once it's plugged in, it will start charging. It'll start charging your credit card as well, or card. You can pay by PayPal as well. There's 4 different types of chargers at this one, and there's 2 bays, and they both can charge at the same time. So you can have 2 cars parked here and they will both charge. It's literally as easy as that. Very surprised. Alright, so now you're all caught up, let's talk competitors. Now, I brought it to Bunbury for a very specific reason. It's 150 Ks from my house, which is a 300 kilometer round trip. Now, there is a charging station just outside of the main road down the middle of Bunbury. The Ionic, the Leaf, the i3 would only just make it here. Now, then they would have to have an almost full charge to make it all the way back. Now, depending on the charger, that's actually quite difficult. Tesla superchargers, as they're called, are actually very ingenious things, and these mainstream models don't charge as fast as that. It just doesn't happen, but I will talk about all the charging later on in this video, so stick around for that. So the Ionic does about 230 Ks, the Leaf about the same. Now, the only competitor really is going to be the I-Pace, which does 470, or the Tesla, which they're they're double the price, and well, no one's going to come near them anytime soon. Stop. So literally, it was like the day after I gave the Kona Electric back. Tesla Model 3 was officially announced in Australia, which is huge. I won't go into all the details. All you care about is specs and price, because it affects everything that I've just talked about. So, Tesla Model 3 has 460 kilometers range, 10 more, 10 more than the Kona Electric. I'm unsure if on purpose, but there we go. 225 kilometer an hour top speed and 5.6 seconds to 0 to 100, which is extremely quick. The Kona does 7.2, I believe. So, starting price for the standard range plus, which is the entry-level Tesla Model 3, $72,000 drive away. Now that is just a mind-blowing price, if I'm being honest, considering the Kona is 64. For an extra $8,000 you can have a Tesla Model 3, which, let's face it, Hyundai, I love you guys, but the Tesla Model 3 is probably going to be a better car, and all-wheel drive. You can also option full self-driving capability on the entry-level Tesla Model 3, which is very interesting because of what I'm about to say. Full self-driving in Australia is absolutely incredible. People didn't think it was going to happen because of legislation. Now, the reason I talk about full self-driving is because you can then option performance, right? So performance is $95,000 drive away without the self-driving capability. Now, what the performance option gives you is a better 0 to 100 and a better top speed. You can then also upgrade to the performance upgrade package, which is an extra $6,200, gives you better wheels, better brakes, a little carbon spoiler, bigger top speed, blah, 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 blah. You can read the website as much as I can. And then you can also option full self-driving capabilities. All up, you are looking at $116,000 drive away. Yes. So to recap, entry level, 72. The performance is 90 something, whatever I said. All of the options ticked, $116,000. I'll leave you with that information. I had to get this in because of everything that I've just talked about. So back to Bunbury. And it's surprisingly fast. So, talking of fast, let's go drive this thing. I'm in sport mode. Traction control is on. I'm going to come out this roundabout. 30. Welcome to the Kona EV. It's just something else. It's heavier. It's 1,700 kilos, which is a problem for electric cars. More weight, more drag, more energy to push the same amount of distance as if it weighed a ton, for argument's sake. Now, to counteract the fact that it weighs a lot and sadly does cost a lot, there is an immense amount of tech in this car. So you've got your adaptive cruise control. I've got a heads-up display here. You've got LED headlights with auto high beam, so if it sees someone coming down the road, it will turn them off. Just all these little things which help make the price point a little bit more appealing. 64 grand is a lot of money for any car, but because it does have all those little luxuries, it's a little bit more enticing. Now with the cruise control, it will brake until 0. If you're stopped for more than 3 seconds, it will need input to keep going. Now by input, that either means just touch the throttle cable, or if you literally press the up button on your cruise control, it will pull away again. It is 100% different to anything you have ever driven in your entire life. Unless you've driven another electric car, it is a very different experience. So I've just come up to some traffic lights. I've taken my foot off the accelerator and the car has started to brake for me. Now that's regenerative braking. So in that time that I was just braking, I made back 0.7 kilometers of range. So you're not going to make back an entire deal if you keep slamming on the anchors. That's just not how this works. It's just a little extra well done for being good. On the steering wheel, I have flappy paddles. Now there's no gears in this, obviously, because it's an electric motor. You just say go or not go. These paddles are to adjust the level at which the regenerative braking operates. On 0, there's nothing. So when I take the foot off the accelerator, it'll just keep coasting. On 1, it's basically engine braking, as you would from any combustion engine car. 2 is probably double that, and then 3 is probably double and a half that. Now level 3, the maximum, not gonna lie, is a very strange way of driving. You can almost come to a complete stop doing that. It won't let you come to a complete stop unless, let's talk about one pedal driving. So I can, with my right foot, accelerate. I can come off of the accelerator and I'll start slowing down because I'm level 1. Now I can hold the left paddle and it will brake for me. I say for me, it's me doing it. It's me telling it to say, no, put resistance on the motor and then turn that resistance into power. It's just all these different things which you have to bear in mind when driving these cars. It's not a bad experience, it is just different, and you have to bear that in mind. Now on top of that, you also have your range, I guess. Now this is no different to someone that uses a phone to make phone calls and someone that uses their phone to play video games all day. Video games are going to zap the battery way faster. This is no different. This forest highway is 110. Now at 110 you're actually going to use more energy than if you were driving at 90, which is why if you're in eco mode and you hold the drive button down, it will go into eco plus and limit you to 90, because that has been deemed the maximum economical speed to use the battery at. And obviously that's a problem on a 110 km/h road and you're doing 90. That's just not how it's going to work. So me, I'm going to drain the battery faster than my nan, for example. Rest her soul. Okay, so just wanted to show you the interior of a standard petrol Kona Highlander. So this is the exact same model that I have, but mine's electric. So let's go over some of the differences. Basically everything's the same apart from wheels, drivetrain and interior. Where it gets a little bit interesting. So I've made my way into the equivalent model Highlander. Now this is the petrol version, obviously donated by the gear stick. So top down screen, this screen is smaller in this model, the EV has a bigger screen. The aircon is here on the petrol, on the EV all the controls appear in the screen. I'll explain why this is here in just a second. All your USB, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto is here. In the EV it's under a hidden paddle. Obviously you've got your gear shifter, your buttons are either side, but the same buttons that you do on the EV, just laid out differently, cup holders and your armrest. So why is this here? Alright, so excuse the glaring sun. So screen bigger, aircon controls are higher up, and that's because of the center console. Oh, let me get rid of that glare a little bit for you. There you go. Is higher up because obviously you don't need the gear stick down here, so everything can be raised up. Interesting. So all of the buttons that you would see by the gear stick are here. parking, and then this is your gears just here. So that is the difference between an EV and a normal petrol equivalent Highlander. Boring stuff. Battery is guaranteed for 8 years. Don't know how much it costs to replace. I'll see what I can do with finding that out, and I will chuck it in the comments below. So have a squiz down there to see if I found that out. Service interval is 12 months or 15,000 kilometers, whichever comes first. 15,000 kilometers is not going to come first, I can assure you of that. And it costs $165 and is fixed price for 5 years. That's not a lot. Let's talk spec of the car. This is the Highlander. This is the model up from the entry level. Entry level was 59 plus on-road. This is 64 plus on-road. Gives you sunroof, LED headlights. As every other journalist has said, not sure why they're not standard just on all of them. It doesn't really make any sense. Neat things like LED interior lights just to save on power. Interestingly, you can switch the aircon to be driver's side only to save on battery. And interestingly, the heater only heats up to 27 degrees. Go look in your car and it'll be high 20s, early 30s, again, to save battery. All of these little things that you have to think about when you don't have an engine and you can't just pull in to fill up with petrol in 5 minutes and go off again. So I've just got back to the car, an hour and 45 later. So it has charged 67 kilometers in that time, and because of this handy app just here, you can see just there that it's costing me $6.30. So I'm going to stop the charge now. That's stopping. Charging complete. Well, not quite, but so yeah, let's talk about this whole charging situation, shall we? This is my bone of contention with this whole experience. As I've shown, the driving is absolutely incredible. It is so nippy, it's good fun. Everyone that's been in it has loved it. The experience is definitely different to a petrol or combustion car. You're going to have to adapt the way that you drive. It's a very quick learning experience, but it is definitely different. It is definitely the way of the future as well. Is it today's future? Probably not. Now, let me explain why. So, this car in this trim is $64,000. This charger, which goes in there, very simple. This goes into the wall. Now, this is the emergency charger. Now, this is a 10 amp charger, right? Now, if you was to charge with this, it would take you almost 3 days to charge fully. So it's me again from the future. Long story short, because this video is already extremely long, if you tuned in this far, thank you very much. The day after filming this video, I plugged it in. Now, I based the numbers that I've just said, the 3 days charging, off of a very short charge, and maybe it's plugged in for about 6 hours. I ran the numbers and it was over 48 hours to give it a full charge. The day after, I did plug it in, and I think I got back on maybe like 5–10%, and after 24 hours it was fully charged. Now, obviously, the information I just gave you was saying 3 days. That's not correct. It's about a day and a bit, and I just wanted to make sure that I clarified that with you all. Back to the video. Now, that's just impractical. Now, what they don't tell you is that to charge this thing in the time that it's advertised overnight, you have to install an additional charger in your garage or wherever it's stored to charge it. Now, from Hyundai, that's $2,000. And then, and only then, will you get your 9 hours overnight charge, full charge, and your whatever it is, 50% in an hour. Now, as with these batteries, the first 80% is the quickest and the last 20% is the slowest. It's just they have to level all the cells. Now, that is my problem with this car. You have to plan ahead, and you have to plan ahead by quite a bit as well. So I've had to plan ahead for where I'm going to park. I've had to plan ahead for last night. Now, obviously, I don't have a fast charger in my garage, so I've had to rely on this, which is just incapable of giving me a charge and using it the way that I use it. So you join me in the back of the car as the sun sets on this absolutely eye-opening and world of discovery day that is my time with the Kona EV. As a side note, this is my driving position and my knees are almost touching the seat but not quite, so legroom, if you're interested, is a-okay. Closing thoughts. So bear with me here, this has been a long video, but summarizing, by summarizing I mean probably chat for a very long time about this. When I say that the world isn't ready for this yet, I mean people like me. I am not going to go out and adjust my lifestyle to be that of one which is compatible with an electric vehicle. You cannot tell me that you can just jump in an electric vehicle and go wherever you want. There is forward planning. You have to plan your stops. You have to plan your stops around charging stations which are fast. There is charging stations which will charge it slow, which is obviously not going to help you get to where you're going. Cost is going to be an issue. 64 grand plus whatever charger you decide to install. It's going to be a problem. Is it a bad car? No. Is it a fantastic car? Yes, like without a doubt. The technology, the drive, the comfort, the space, the convenience is outstanding, as you would expect from a Hyundai. Am I, as a human being, ready for this kind of vehicle yet? Probably not. As a petrol head, am I ready for this vehicle yet? Probably not. Am I excited for this type of vehicle? Holy shit, am I excited for this vehicle. Does that mean that I'm saying not to buy one? Not at all, but it's going to have to fit within the lifestyle that you already have as a human being. If eco and saving the environment is something that you're extremely passionate about, go nuts. This is going to be the car to buy. If you're a petrol head like me, and you're just after some fun, this is probably not going to be the car to buy yet. So on that note, thank you so much for watching. Huge thank you to John Hughes for allowing me to jump in the Kona Highlander, the combustion variant. Huge thank you to Hyundai for allowing me out in this thing. Absolute pleasure, and I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, chuck a comment down below, tell me what you think. If you have a comment about how awful this video is, chuck it below, I'll reply anyway. It's probably going to be sarcasm, so I hope you enjoy that. Let's have a bit of banter. As always, see you in the next one. Plenty more videos planned, plenty more exciting videos planned, and I hope to see you soon.